Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's talk about good and evil. What do you believe? Do you believe that humans, are basically good? Or do you think that they're basically evil? That we are born, our natural state is a state of sin, like it says in the Bible. You know, the Christians kind of believe that you're born with original sin, and that you have this wild animalistic urge, this animal nature to you that is rather sinful, and you have to make a conscious effort to be good. And that's one school of thought, that people are born evil, and you can look around in whatever city you live in, it may look like Gotham City these days, and kind of see the evil nature of man, about how people are kind of pieces of shit. A lot of people out there really suck. It's hard to find good people sometimes, so it's easy to believe that, you know, evil is our natural state. And then some people are really positive people, annoyingly so sometimes, and some people really truly believe that our natural state of being as humans is a place of goodness, that we're basically good. We don't put judgments like these on other animals. We don't talk about a lion being good or bad. What would make a bad lion? It's hard to judge. They don't really have laws, or, you know, in lion society, there's loosely based rules to be a part of a lion, a pride of lions. Lions in the pride can be ejected if they don't get along with the others, but we don't talk about animals as good or evil. A snake, you know, there's stories and symbolism about snakes being evil, and if you've ever owned a snake, I've had pythons and boa constrictors. I guess if you're rather naive, you could look at the shape of the eye and you might see some sort of sinister look, but my snakes were cute. You know, I never once thought my snakes were evil. And my snakes killed other creatures. I fed them, you know, big giant rats and stuff. What makes something evil? It gets really confusing when we're talking about animals. With people, oh, we know with people. Child molesters, murderers, mass shooters, we can go down the line. Dictators, you know, we can go down the line. Hitler, Mao, you know, we can go down the line. We know what evil is when we talk about humans. There's no question. No question. So I'm basically in the camp that I think that people are naturally evil. I think it takes a lot to be a good person and to think good thoughts, to do good things. It takes a lot to not litter. It takes a lot to not punch a motherfucker in the face when you're standing in line at the bank, just randomly, just bam! You know, it takes a lot to hold back that animal urge to just, you know, act like a caveman. You have to make a conscious effort to be civilized. You have to make a conscious effort to be mature. You have to make a conscious effort to engage in love. So here's the game. And it's a hard game to play, because I personally feel like for myself that I wake up every day with this natural state of kind of a darkness, of a certain level of monstrosity. I could very easily be a tyrant, a dictator. I could very easily be a bully. I could very easily be nasty and malicious and sinister, a supervillain. I could easily do that. I think terrible, terrible thoughts sometimes, awful stuff. And I have to make a conscious choice every single day. Every day I wake up and make a choice. Who am I going to be? Am I going to be strong, or am I going to be weak? Am Am I going to follow the light, or am I going to follow darkness? Am I going to continue with this oath, and I have made an oath, a bond, a pact with God, and He's counting on me? Am I going to live up to the words that I have spoken in the past and continue on this path of righteousness? I make this choice every day. Or am I going to just be a son of a bitch? Am I going to follow the path of God, or am I going to follow the path of the devil? I make this choice every single day. Sometimes more than once in a day I have to remind myself. The game is, here's the game. You have to learn to recognize the good. Recognize the good in the world. Recognize the good in others, even if you don't like it. I can get awfully judgmental, and I fight with myself in my head. Sky, don't be that way. And I can be the voice of reason, and I have like a little angel and a little devil that war with each other all the time. And what wins out is this constant identification of pointing out. I look for it. I look for the good, even when I don't like it. When I don't like a motherfucker, there can be somebody that I just think is a scumbag. Ugh, I don't like you. You look exactly like the type of person that I don't like. And I look for the good. I've been trying to do this with enemies. And I don't really have a lot of real enemies these days. I'm not in the streets. I'm not a gangster. I'm just a regular guy with a job. So when you talk about enemies, it's kind of meaningless. I've had people shoot at me in the past. I've gone to war with other gangs, with whole sides of town. I've had real enemies. And I've gotten rid of a lot of grudges that I've had. Sometimes we have enemies from the past that live on inside our heads, and these people may not even be in our world now, but we're still walking around like as if there's unfinished battles, as if, fuck that motherfucker. We still have this attitude in our head towards certain people. And I've tried to go back through some of those scenarios, some of these past enemies. Not just forgive them, because you can do that and be like, yeah, whatever. It's all right, I'm not going to kill you. And that's kind of like a forgiveness. When you tell a motherfucker that you'll let him live, that's a forgiveness. You better take that shit and run. If I tell you I'm not going to kill you. But you have to see the good in them. And think about little stuff. And you start realizing that that person isn't malicious. They're not bad people. Maybe you had some beef with them. Maybe they fucked you over. Who knows? But I've noticed for myself, I can't tell you about your enemies, but I've noticed for myself, and I've had people come after me with guns, with baseball bats, with knives, with whole sides of town, with several cars full of motherfuckers. I've had to think about these people and realize they're not bad people, no more than maybe I was. There's this notion that man always acts rightly. It's a philosophical statement, and it doesn't mean that man always acts right. That is not what it means. For people that take everything so literal, that's not what it means. Slow down. Man always acts rightly. Simply means that you may have an intention of rightness, and it may be completely harmful to others. The school shooter, the Columbine school shooters had an intention of rightness. In their mind, it was right to go and mow people down that they felt were picking on them and bullying them or whatever. In their twisted, crazy mind, that was right. I'm not saying it was right. I'm saying that man always acts rightly. You have this intention of rightness. It's important to point out, just as a little tidbit when you're thinking about others, especially your enemies, and that you realize that as much as you think that you're right most of the time, most people, especially guys, you think you're right all the time. It's rare that you meet a guy who will even ever admit that they're wrong. But man always acts rightly. And we think that we act right, and so do others, and that can help to relax you a little bit and realize that people that maybe step on your toes and people that have come against you, maybe it wasn't so personal. Maybe it was in your scenario. I've had a lot of enemies. I've had people beat me with baseball bats. That was personal. But in other people's minds, they're doing the right thing. And we have to recognize good and evil. There's a struggle between good and evil. And you want to be able to recognize the good. Even when you don't like that motherfucker, even when you don't like, you watch TV, you watch these politicians and you get so burning angry at them. I know guys that get red in the face and scream and yell. Can you see the good in that man? Just for a second. I know you don't like him. Could you see the good in him? No? It's impossible? Then maybe you've lost the good in you. And there's your starting point. It's all food for thought. I hope one person followed this. Thanks for watching.